All right, let's talk about how to be wildly successful in life or business. I like that word wildly successful. So much better than just being merely successful, right? So, number one, if you are catching this live, I am streaming it on YouTube and I am April Bragg with Bragg Coaching, and Hiram and I help businesses switch to a VIP model so that they have time for business and time for life. We believe in serving the best clients at the best level for the best prices so that nobody is burned out, nobody is overworked, and nobody is stressed. But we teach principles are magical little laws that govern the universe, is how I like to think of them. And they apply in every single area of life. So I could have called this how to be wildly successful in parenting, or how to be wildly successful in your marriage, or how to be wildly successful in any number of areas, because they're principles. They will work no matter which area you apply them to. So there are 4 steps. And when I realized this, I got these 4 steps from Genesis chapter 1. All good things come from Genesis. It's like there's just this microcosm of how the world works, tucked in tiny little phrases and tiny little snippets through there. And if you'll look for it, it is pretty amazing. But when I realized, wait, there are 4 things that God Himself is doing as He is accomplishing amazing things, that when I looked back on my life, when I did all 4 steps, amazing, incredible results. And when I missed a few, usually the project fell apart. So, how to be wildly successful in life or business. Probably there's a pre-step. So if we counted that as another step, let's call this the pre-step. Okay. The pre-step is pick one area. This would probably be step number 1, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Pick one area. So if you look at the account of creation in Genesis, you will notice that God did not snap His fingers and create all 6 days of creation, the sun, the moon, the stars, the earth, the fish, the beast, man and woman, just in one moment. It was broken up. That's craziness. Why in the world would He break it up if He is an omnipotent God? Because this is one of the lessons that we need to realize. How we do anything is how we should do everything, or it is how we do everything. But also, the best example for how to do things is going to come from our Creator. So keep that in mind. So if we will learn to look at the Bible for how to do things, then we will find amazing wisdom that most people have not even noticed. And if they are successful, they are implementing this, but maybe without actually knowing why. I want to go in with the whys, okay? So that you will know what to do, how to do it, and why it works. All right. So, and where it came from. All right. So, step number 1, one project at a time, okay? You can't do a whole bunch of things and expect to have the level of success. We all know this. We all love to forget this because we get so excited about starting a new project. ADHD seems to be a factor in everybody's life. In fact, there is a new term, and I'm forgetting what it is, but it's like, even if you don't have ADHD, the way that social media and the way that our fast-paced life is set up, we all have a shorter attention span. There's actually a technical term. I'm totally forgetting about it. It's not important. All of us will benefit from lesson number 1. One project at a time. Focus. It's going to feel slow. It's going to feel boring. It's going to feel hard to do all 5 steps. You're going to do step 2 or 3 and be like, okay, let's move on. No, slow down. Okay. So number 1 project at a time. Okay. So God picked 1 project at a time. He divided up the days and he did a very specific thing. Then God did an interesting, what some would say, an unnecessary step. And God said, let us da 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 da. He stated his intentions. It's like he stated his goal ahead of doing his goal. So step number 2, state the goal out loud. You got to make it real. Got to say it out loud. You got to say it like you mean it. Maybe you say it to somebody who believes in you. Maybe you do not say it to somebody who doesn't believe in you unless you get super motivated by people who do not believe in you. Use that to your advantage or your disadvantage. But say your goal out loud, at least to you. Make it as real as possible. Now, step number 3 is where this is the confidence thing. You will know how your general confidence in life, your general motivation, your general energy for going after a new goal is dependent on how often you do step 2 and step 3 together. Step 3, it says, and then he created. How many times have you caught yourself saying, I'm going to do something, and then you don't do it? This piece right here of keeping your word to yourself is so crucial. If you do not keep your word to yourself, your confidence will suffer. Your motivation will suffer. Your integrity will suffer. You will not trust yourself. Confidence is just trust in oneself with Fidel, with trust. Confidence is you trusting. So when I did this, when I realized these steps, I went back and I made a list of everything that I could remember that I had said I was going to do, and I actually did it. Goals, big things. I'm not going to remember everything, but I made a list of things that I said, I'm going to do that. And then they just went by the wayside. You can guess what one of those things would be on that list. Weight loss, oh, well, weight goes up or down, things like that. Another one might have been, this is one actually that I had on my success side, was decluttering my entire house, top to bottom. Never went back. I never went back because I did the rest of those steps and I didn't realize it at the time. All right. So when you are struggling, when you have that niggling voice in the back of your mind, that nagging voice in the back of your mind that's saying you're torn. There's this cognitive dissonance. I want to do this and I kind of don't want to. If you will listen carefully, most of the time it's like, I do not want to set a goal here because I have tried to do it before and I haven't, and I have lost a measure of confidence around this. I have a solution for that. I'm going to tell you the solution to that little piece right there is this: set very small goals and build up your confidence again. Build up your confidence about keeping your word. I don't care how small the goal is. Tell yourself you're going to brush your teeth for the whole 2 minutes once a day. Tell yourself you're going to make your bed every day. Tell yourself you are whatever it is. Pick something small that you can do so consistently that you can have a tiny little evidence to yourself that I am a person who keeps my word to myself. So this is crucial. So remember, step number 1 was to break it up into small projects. Don't take on too much in one day. Step number 2, say it out loud. Step number 3, actually do it. What you said you're going to do. Step number 4 is there. You just have to read it carefully. Every time God created something, which is him completing something, he saw that it was good. Now, we are not omnipotent. We are not omniscient. So we don't always see the good the very first time that we attempt something. So step 4 for us is evaluate. God's evaluations were, it was all good, it was all good, it was all good, it was very good. Ours are going to be, oh, well, that worked. Well, that didn't. Well, that works. Ooh, that doesn't. Be evaluating in the creation process, in the doing process. So many times we just skip over this and then we're like, it didn't work. Well, what exactly didn't work? And I have a very simple 3-question evaluation that I'm going to give you, okay, in just a second. And then step number 5 is this. At the end, he celebrated. He celebrated the completion. This is so important. So many, in fact, and by celebrate, it was said he blessed it. So there's a point when he's working at doing it. And there's a point when it's kind of done. And at this point, it's ready to go on to maintenance mode. So you got to bless it. You've got to make it easy to automatically keep on happening. Let's say you did that where I said, brush your teeth for 2 minutes a day. Well, one recommendation I would do is take advantage of Prime and buy a toothbrush that has a timer built into it. I did that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I am never brushing my teeth for 2 minutes a day or 2 minutes at a time. Make it easy on yourself to keep on maintaining it. Okay. So the way God maintained was by blessing it. When we are finishing something, at that point, we need to look at our project and say, okay, is it completely finished? It's done. We can tie a bow on it. It never has to be visited again. Is this something that we need to maintain on a daily basis to maintain the progress we have? Or is this something like specifically in business or in life where now that we know what works because we've been evaluating, that we're ready to scale it, to multiply it? Those are the 5 steps. Step number 1, break it into a small enough project. Step number 2, say what you're going to do. Step number 3, do what you're going to do. Step number 4, evaluate in the doing. And then step number 5, bless it at the end, as in celebrate it or set it up for success, for maintenance, or explode it, scale it. Okay? Those are the 5 steps. So these are the 5 mistakes that go with it. Number 1, we bite off more than we can chew. We get ambitious. 2, we don't say our goals out loud. Okay? We're a little bit waffly there. We don't say specifically what we're going to do and why we're going to do it. Step 3, we say it, but we don't actually do it. Step 4, we quit because we're not evaluating. We're not finding out. Here are the 3 questions that you want to ask yourself when you're evaluating. What's working? What's not working? What can I do differently? Easiest questions to answer in the world. What's working? What's not working? What can I do differently? For example, brushing the teeth. What's working? Well, I do have a regular routine where I go into the bathroom to brush my teeth. What's not working? I am obviously not brushing my teeth long enough. Oh, what can I do differently? Buy a toothbrush with a timer. Bingo. That's simple. Okay. This can be applied to many things. Homeschooling. I think I've told you before, I taught my kids to homeschool themselves by what's working, what's not working, what can we do differently. In my husband's business, when he was doubling one year and doubling the next, and then doubling, Oh my gosh. What's working? What's not working? What can we do differently? These questions work. You want to have a better marriage. What's working? What's not working? What can I do differently? And then step number 5, we never give ourselves credit for actually doing something and doing a good job all the way to the finish line. This is a real problem because we're usually trying to chase that next dopamine hit by starting the next new thing, and we're missing the retraining of our brain around the fact that I am somebody who completes things. We're afraid also sometimes of being seen as proud or getting criticized. I mean, listen, how many times have you really wanted to share good news on Facebook or on social media? Like, hey, listen, celebrating that I lost 5 pounds, in the last month. And then you're like, oh, I don't want to say anything because some people have it. Or I'm celebrating that I got a great promotion at work. Oh, I hate to say that because so-and-so lost their job and it's going to seem like I'm bragging. This is a problem because if we do not recognize when we've done well in our life, we are not training our brain to recognize the patterns that led to that success. We've got to celebrate. This is a necessary thing for us to be, like the title says, how to be wildly successful. Celebrate your success. Show your brain it's okay. You can succeed again. Nothing bad happened. I cannot even tell you how this step is probably the one that gets skipped over the most. And it's probably, well, other than keeping our word after we say our word, this is so essential. So, how to be wildly successful in life. So, this is what I did. When I realized these 5 steps, I took the time, and it only took about 15 or 20 minutes. I just opened up my journal and on one side, I wrote, what have I said that I was going to do that I have done that I would call success markers in my life? And I made a list of those. And then I said, what are things that I said I was going to do that I have not done yet? That word yet is so important. Add yet to a few more of your phrases so you won't beat yourself up so hard. And I made a list. And I think I only came up with 3 or 4 things. And number 1, I'm like, hey, it's not too late. So what did I do? Step number 1, pick one. I didn't try to tackle all 4 at once. I picked one and I said, this is what I'm going to do. And I made a plan immediately for it. And now I am implementing it. And I will have weekly evaluations of what works, what doesn't work, and what will I do differently. And then at some point, I'm going to have a big old fat celebration. Because when we understand that success can honestly be this simple, why would we not then choose to be more successful? All right. I hope this has helped. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if you're listening to this on YouTube or the podcast, I would love it if you subscribe. I would love it if you share. And I would love if you're on the podcast, if you can leave us a review if this has helped. All right. But until next week, keep on living, loving, and leading with confidence. Bye-bye.